With hundreds of stations across Sydney's rail network, there's of course got to be those few weird ones, and in today's video we take a look at 3 of Sydney's weirdest train stations. This is a part 2 to my series of Sydney's weirdest train stations, and in the last episode we had a look at McDonaldtown, Casula and Wondabyne. Today we'll be looking at another 3 of Sydney's weirdest train stations, adding on to the series. If you haven't already watched part 1, I highly suggest watching it before starting this video. The link is on the top right of the screen. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with Cronulla Station. Cronulla Station is a heritage listed station on the Cronulla branch of the T4 Eastern Suburbs and Illawarra line, serving the suburb of Cronulla on the outskirts of Sydney. The most notable feature that you've probably already realised about Cronulla Station is that its platform is extremely long, coming to the second longest platform in New South Wales and the longest platform served by the Sydney Trains network. Cronulla Station, although one long platform, is actually 2 separate platforms, with a fence dividing the platforms in the middle. Platform 1 is located on the closer end towards Sutherland at the station, with Platform 2 being located further away down south. Next to Cronulla Station is also a set of 3 stabling yards where trains can either be stabled during the day or overnight. The way Cronulla Station works is that trains on Platform 1 can come in quite easily without interrupting the rest of the line. However, trains for Platform 2 have to use a track that goes around Platform 1 as seen here before turning into Platform 2. This means that 2 8-car trains can be at the station at the same time, which is actually really good for peak hour frequencies. Cronulla Station also has its own bus terminal located outside the station, where passengers can connect to many bus lines across the south of Sydney. Nearby to Cronulla is of course Cronulla Beach, which is very popular amongst tourists and what majority of passengers on this line are intending to go to. Having been to Cronulla before, there are a lot of amazing cafes and restaurants located around the station, so if you haven't been there already, I highly recommend checking out the second longest platform in New South Wales and as well taking a look at its great area. Some history about Cronulla Station is after the Illawarra rail line was opened to Sutherland in 1885, the area became popular for picnics and swimming, as of course with the Cronulla Beach. Many regulars rented beach houses at Cronulla every year for holidays, and the Cronulla area was subdivided in 1895 and the land was offered for sale at just £10 per acre. In 1908, the New South Wales government had approved construction of a steam tram route from Sutherland down to Cronulla, with construction completed and steam trams operating along the route from the 12th of June 1911. The area remained mostly semi-rural during the interwar period, and after World War II there was a large population boom and the area was suburbanised from the 1950s. After many decades of operation, the Sutherland to Cronulla line was constructed from 1936 and completed in 1939, meaning the trains could now reach Cronulla. As a result, this meant the steam tramway was removed and a single-track railway line was replacing the tram service, opening on the 16th of December 1939. Before the present-day electric train sidings at Cronulla, there was originally a goods line siding which closed back in 1949, located next to the station. Under the Rail Clearways program, the 2 remaining single-track sections of the Cronulla line were duplicated in 2010. As a result, train stabling west of Cronulla was replaced by stabling sidings opposite Platform 2, which is what we have today. Moving on to Leightonfield Station. Leightonfield is a heritage-listed railway station on the main Southern Railway line served by the T3 Liverpool and Inner West line. Leightonfield Station opened actually somewhat recently on the 24th of August 1942 to serve the adjacent factories, which contributed to Australia's war effort in World War II. It was transferred from federal to state government ownership on the 1st of February 1962. Located next to the station is the Southern Sydney Freight Line, which opened in January of 2013. As seen in these images here, this is what the station used to look like before the rail line was added. Leightonfield has 2 entrances to the station, and although it's surrounded by ramps, many would think it would be accessible, but it turns out, of course, the entrances themselves actually aren't accessible, with the Christina Road entrance having a slight little step which makes the station inaccessible from that point. For the Monier Square entrance, which I must say is one of the weirdest train station entrances I have ever seen, is probably not accessible. However, there is a chance if you have a pretty decent wheelchair, you can get over those rocks. Having been to the station before, the Monier Square entrance is very much dead, and I believe it was primarily used in the past for the factories. However, nowadays, literally no one uses it. It's surrounded by wet grassland area, and next to the site is where a lot of factories still used to this day remain. Christina Road is located next to a somewhat busy road, and as well has a little bus stop here, which for some reason is only used at night by night ride services, hence why the bus stop probably hasn't gotten that much love over the past few years. When you walk into the station from Christina Road, you go over a nice little creek, which if you're quiet enough you can actually hear the water trickling down, and when I was there I actually saw a few frogs jumping over. That was quite interesting. Leightonfield station has elevated platforms, meaning there is no brick or concrete work underneath the platforms and is instead held up by metal beams. Leightonfield station surprisingly has managed to keep its original sign-in, which was obviously restored at some point in the past, and in my opinion completes the station and makes it look much nicer, giving a nod to its history. Surprisingly, Leightonfield station is actually staffed majority of the week, and I actually don't really think this is a smart idea, as when I was last here, the staff members were stuck in their offices, as the last time I was there, over the half an hour of waiting for my train, I was pretty sure that I actually heard half of Sydney's catalogue of rail announcements, as it appears they were in the office literally spamming announcements, as that's the best thing they can do. Judging by the location of Leightonfield station, I wouldn't be surprised if in history, especially with the old parcel vans which were operated by modified Red Rattler trains, most likely carried parcels and such from the nearby factories, delivering it to many places around Sydney. Leightonfield is actually extremely close to the nearby station of Villawood, which is again another very odd station. However, that's something to talk about in the future. Moving on to the final station of this video, being Vineyard. Vineyard station is located on the Sydney Trains T1 Western and T5 Cumberland lines, located on the Richmond branch. Vineyard station is a single platform, allowing for bidirectional operation. However, a downside to this is that since majority of the Richmond line is a single track with only some stations recently being duplicated to allow for better frequency, this means that trains sitting at stations such as Mulgrave will have to wait for the service ahead to move out of the way from the single track. Vineyard station is served by a half-hour frequency of trains in both directions, meaning that there is a train on average every 15 minutes, one heading to Richmond and one heading back down to Sydney. Vineyard station was opened as an infill station on the 14th of July 1935. As part of the electrification of the line from Riverstone to Richmond in 1991, the station was completely rebuilt, and as you can see, not much effort was put into its rebuilding process. The original pre-electrification platform and corrugated shelter of Vineyard Station are briefly featured in the Australian video clip of the 1985 ICEHOUSE song No Promises, with the vocalist Ivor Davies seen standing on the rail car set 606 and 706 passing through the station and rounding the bend, as seen in the video here. Having seen videos of Vineyard Station before, I'm immensely surprised at the amount of passengers that do come to the station, despite the fact that it is one of the least used. As seen on this Google Maps image here, there is absolutely nothing surrounding the station, with a good dozen houses, likely having a few people inside, meaning that the station likely only serves a few dozen people. However, next to the station there is a factory, which is probably where majority of passengers come from. If I'm being honest, Vineyard Station is one of those stations where if you were to randomly demolish it one day, I don't think anyone would realise. One cool perk about Vineyard Station is that, as seen here, it's located on the Bandon Road level crossing. The Richmond line has the most level crossings of any line in Sydney, as majority of our level crossings aren't here anymore, unlike Melbourne, although to be fair, they're currently removing majority of their level crossings as well. For those who love the occasional train horn, this is a great spot to see trains of all different types sounding their horns before approaching the level crossing. Just like Leightonfield, Vineyard Station is again a platform held up by metal beams. Vineyard Station is very much a nothing station, as it literally has a tiny little shelter with one single information screen and not even stuff such as a top-up machine or a toilet. So if you need to go to the toilet or top up your Opal card, you're stuffed. With what I like to call the copycat housing appearing across much of Western Sydney, this would be a great spot to allow for this new construction to be built, meaning that a station already there can be serving the new area with the new copycat housing. Funnily enough, nearby is actually a homeworld in Box Hill, which is basically what the copycat housing is. For those wondering, Vineyard Station to me surprisingly gets 178 daily passengers, making around roughly 65,000 passengers per year. For a station that's quite literally a concrete slab next to a section of track in the middle of nowhere, that's pretty good. And that sums up part 2 of Sydney's weirdest train stations. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and let me know if you'd like to see a part 3. primarily focused on Sydney's intercity rail network. In the coming weeks, I'll also be doing another episode related to Sydney's weirdest train stations, where we'll be taking a look at the Port Kembla branch line, which has some of the weirdest stations in New South Wales. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to help us reach 12,000 subscribers, and as well, like the video if you enjoyed it. If you have some weird stations in mind that I haven't mentioned, feel free to comment them in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.